for me, now that I've worked with her for so long, that's like a normal thing. And I know it's not normal. I know that that's like a big deal. And so I was like bottom of the barrel. I was the new kid on the block. Can you hear me now? I mean, obviously, we've seen all the stuff on the news. I fucking ran out of roller. And I was like,
Hello.
Hi.
And welcome back to another episode of Breakroom Banter.
It is a hairstylist adjacent podcast where each week,
Two friends
who also happen to be hairstylists,
break down our weeks in the break room. I'm your host, Hunter Walden.
and I am your hostess, Ericka the Red.
And our guest today has made his way from Arkansas to Destin, Florida, and then to Nashville, Tennessee.
And then onto music videos and photo shoots.
He didn't stop there. He went on to reality TV and Opry debuts.
And we're honored to be fit into his insanely busy schedule.
Joining us in the break room today,
Tyler Bishop. Round of applause.
Round of applause. Okay, so first question is, you went to hair school in Arkansas, right?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about that. What was that like?
which ended up benefiting me in the end.
Okay, how so?
Because Arkansas you have to have 1,500 hours and do the practical and the written.
Mm-hmm.
And in Florida, where I actually got most of my training, it's 1,200 hours and just a written. So if I moved up here,
Oh,
I would have
dang.
to go back to school.
To school.
Yeah.
Okay,
just
that's
Transferred my
crazy.
license from Arkansas to
Okay.
Part of the reason I moved back to Oregon when I went to beauty school instead of doing it in Massachusetts was for that, because they have such high hours that I'm like, I
Yep.
could move anywhere. That's cool that worked out for you like that. Nice.
But yeah, it was just like any other hair school. Like I didn't go somewhere that was like a Paul Mitchell or an Aveda or so I went to like what would be considered like a nicer school in the area. But I mean we all had to take the same test. So it was all like, roller sets, perms,
Beauty
all
school
the shit
shit.
that we run from,
Yeah.
especially in hair school. They're like, oh, we've got this. And I'm like, oh, lunch.
I look at the time. Yep. I gotta go. Yep. I gotta go. So from Arkansas, you said you worked there for like what, 9 months ish, and then moved to Destin.
Yes.
Why Destin?
So we had vacation there growing up, and I loved it. I wanted to be somewhere away from home. Northeast Arkansas was not kind to me for obvious reasons. And I just wanted to branch out. I wanted to do something new, and that was a little familiar to me. So it wasn't like I was moving to a city that I didn't know. So it's like I love the beach. I love the water. Nobody told me that everything died in the winter like it does. I didn't move far enough south.
Yeah, Destin, the Panhandle can get a little iffy. It gets cold there.
And like we locals, they're called the Redneck Riviera because there's not really a lot of change from Northeast Arkansas to there on a normal basis, scenic wise.
Okay. So you're like, this is comfy for me.
Yeah.
Let me like break out of the shell here.
Right.
And then around, correct me if I'm wrong, 2018?
17, 18, yeah.
17, 18, you moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay.
February.
Okay. So then when you moved to Nashville, you worked at an Aveda salon, correct?
Yes, because I worked at one salon while I was in Florida for years, and it was an Aveda salon. I was Aveda trained, so that was, again, like familiar to me.
Okay.
So I had their rep contact a rep up here, and then I sat down with her, and she told me like 6 different places to go and tour. And that was the one that was most like welcoming, and I liked it, so I worked there.
And it's a nice location too, right on West End.
Yep.
Okay. And then from there, you upgraded a bit and moved to another salon in Nashville that is an Aveda salon in Green Hills.
Yes. So my best friend that I met at can we say the salon's name?
Yeah, if you want.
At True Blue.
Mm-hmm.
My best friend I met at True Blue. Her name's AJ. We just clicked, and she was in talks with, because she had done Fashion Week and stuff like that, and I wanted to do Fashion Week at that point, and she was in contact with Spoken Wheel, and they were telling her that they were going to potentially, possibly open up a location in Nashville. And so when they finally like set a date, decided the location, they contacted her. She was one of their first hires, and she was like, I have a friend. So I actually called in sick on one of my days that I was working
T.
and flew, took a red eye to LA, and had to sit with their lead education team, cut and color, and do like a full interview. And then I had to shadow, and they just wanted to see if I fit in with their crowd. They're very much like
Culture.
culture.
Mm-hmm.
But I was hired, and so like flew back that night actually. So it was like a 24-hour flight.
Fiasco.
And then worked the next day, and then we turned our really like our month notice in.
Did they let you work it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to be surprised if they
Me
did.
too.
She was beyond pissed. But yeah, we started working at Spoken Wheel.
That's amazing. And then was it there that you started gaining the clientele that you were looking or seeking for?
A little. But not till I got to Parlor.
Which is the next salon.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So that's where it kind of gets a little blurry online
Okay.
as to like where you were. It was like, I don't know, a little confusing to the eye of someone who
Okay.
wasn't on the inside. And when we were on the phone, you talked a lot about like gatekeeping and like pulling a curtain back. Is this the time where you started to realize that the industry was a little more catty than you thought?
Honestly, it was when I was in Florida. Yeah, it was when I was in Florida. And it wasn't like major things. It was just small things. Like I was like bottom of the barrel. I was the new kid on the block. I was, an assistant that was trying to build a clientele. And with Aveda salons come a lot of like structure, and it's almost a little pyramid-y where once you reach this next level, you can act this way, or you can do this, or you can push people around, or you can. And so a lot of the stylists acted that way. And it wasn't really the senior stylist that I had a major issue with. It was the stylists that were in the middle that were really trying to get up to
Trying to
that.
get up there.
So
Mm-hmm.
they probably felt like they
Like-
were treated that way by the
Yep.
people above them. And so they turned around and treated all of us that way.
Around 2021-ish. Is
Okay.
that when you met the Chrisleys?
Yes.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. And how did that go?
So, gosh, I started doing celebrity hair in 2019. And through that, I met like makeup artists and hairstylists and wardrobe stylists. And there was a makeup artist that I became really close with. And we worked a lot together. And she actually got the pickup for doing their makeup for the show.
Got it.
'Cause their
Okay.
makeup artist had left. And so she had like gave my name, and a few times I had like reached out. Can you hear me now? So she had given them my name.
Yeah.
And they are very much creatures of habit.
Okay.
They are very much like, I'm going to turn this a little bit. Is that better? They're very much creatures of habit. So them branching out and using somebody new that they don't even know was just like not a thing.
Scary.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're very like protective of their inner circle because, I mean, obviously we've seen all this stuff on the news, but
Yeah.
they are very good people and they want to protect that core.
Got it.
So Julie was the first one to call me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never done hair like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Southern Belle hair.
yes,
Yeah.
like roller set. I was used to doing more like deconstructed beach waves.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a hair out of place, it's
Uh-huh.
fine. And so I was so nervous. And
Understandably.
I called two of my friends that were really good at that. One of them did that like a Ibiza brush blowout where he like left all the brushes in the
Uh-huh.
hair. And I was like, that's what she wants.
Mhm.
So I called him and I sat with a mannequin for a full like 24 hours in my apartment, round brushing and leaving brushes in. And to try and round brush and give lift to a mannequin that's sitting on a stand without popping
With
its
it
head
ripping
off,
it off, yeah.
Mhm.
it was
That's funny.
it was so fun.
But I bet you do a really good blowout now.
I do, but it took me a minute.
Yeah.
So I went there. I think it was for Weight Watchers that we were doing a shoot for, and I had brought all these rollers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she has so much fucking hair. Like all of her hair is real.
Dang.
It's like a helmet, like a halo. And I fucking ran out of rollers.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
And I'm like sitting behind her, like round brushing her hair, putting everything in rollers, and I'm sweating. And all I could think about was, okay, the only option I have is for me to take the bottom ones out that have sat the most and move them up, move them forward.
Was that one of those moments where you're like, shit,
Yes, I shit
I
the
have
bed.
faked it till I made it. I'm in the room and now what the fuck am I doing? Oh my
And
God.
she made it worse. She didn't make it worse. I was the one that made it worse, but it was worse because once I started moving the bottom ones up to the front because that was my only option.
Yeah.
She literally went, "What are you doing?"
Oh shit.
And I was like,
Oh no.
so I think I said something sassy like, "I know what I'm doing, girl." And she just turned around and I could see my friend's face that was doing her makeup like, so I knew that they were like looking at each other.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? So then like 10 minutes later, Savannah walks in and I had never met her before. And she's sitting at like the dining room table, like facing us. And she like, not so subtly, but so subtly is like, Mom likes a lot of volume. And I now know that like Julie had texted her to say like, hey, I don't want to say anything, but you say it. And I was like, yeah, I know.
Oh.
God.
I would have been sweating.
I was sweating. And so I literally like went home and I just went to bed because I was like, it's been a fun ride.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over for me.
The
gig is
I'll
up.
never work in this city
this
again.
is the
The
end.
gig is up. So it obviously wasn't as big as what she wanted. And she texted me like 3 or 4 hours later after set was done. And she was like, everyone loved my hair. Thank you so much. You're such a great stylist. I want to use you again. And I could have just, like cried, screaming.
Yeah.
So that was my first meet with him. And then I did her and Nanny's hair for their last season of the cover photo. And then my old mentor in Florida, which I'm sure that you follow, Sarah, her Instagram is Sarah May, level 10.
I do follow her.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother story. But she's who like gave me all my hair confidence and taught me everything that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And they were flying her up every now and then to do their hair. And so I was at Oksana and she was like, can I use your space? And Oksana was like, absolutely. So she was like, well, can you assist me like the old days so we can like nail this out? And I was like, sure. So I went and they had known me just from those few times. And they're like, oh, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I work here. And Sarah was like, remember I told you I have somebody in Nashville to do your hair if you didn't want to use me. It's Tyler. And they're like, oh, we know Tyler. And so that was kind of like the entrance into the family.
Got it.
Okay.
They had already tasted you a little, and then she vouched for you.
Yeah.
Got it.
So then
And they didn't know I did color
That's
and
crazy.
cut. They just thought I styled.
Oh.
Because a lot of people that they hire for stuff like that, they just style or just do makeup.
Oh,
They're not in the
okay.
salon.
And in the salon, did you were in a compartmentalized salon, right?
Mhm.
So you were only a colorist in the salon, right?
So that was kind of the reason why I left Spoken Wheel, because when we first initially were hired, it was like, we know that you have both guests. And so we're going to let you keep both guests. And then it was a thing because a lot of the people that moved there, especially the cutters, didn't have clients. And so if we were the only people that had clients, they were just sitting around, not doing anything. And so it kind of became like this thing.
Gotcha.
Mm.
That makes a lot of sense because I do both, and
Yeah,
I would be
I
like,
do both.
I would feel weird having my client go to someone else, but it works for some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, was the first look that you did for Savannah the like long ponytail moment?
No. We did a lot of just like her regular style, like with a bob.
Oh, okay.
But the ponytail moment was like a moment.
She was a moment. So,
Are you talking about when she had like the red, white, and blue?
yes, it was like
Yeah.
a dress, and
Yeah.
she's standing to the side, and she has this long pony. I have a question about things like that. So, like ponytails, styles that you need to add extensions to, because you do a lot of that,
Mhm.
like on your Instagram, showing people how to make it
Right.
last longer, which is great. If you don't follow Tyler, you should. He has a lot of like cute little tips and tricks. But how do you charge for looks with extensions like that? It's
Okay.
it's like a multi question. So first, how do you charge with looks like that? Do you keep those extensions on hand at all times? And then what does that investment look like for you to build your kit?
So I'll kind of go over. I'm gonna mix the questions up because
That's fine.
to build my kit, I became a brand ambassador for Bellamy early on when I was doing Jesse James Decker's hair, and they sent me ponytails, clip-ins, and I didn't get them for free, but I got like a major discount on them. So I bought a ton, and it was one of those where I had a good check from my salon because, I mean, most of us hairstylists live paycheck to paycheck. Let's be honest. So I got a good check, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna use this to invest in this so that I can use it later, and it worked out. I bought ponytails first, and then clip-ins, and then I did the same thing when I started being an influencer for laced hair extensions, which is who I work with now. Just the quality of the hair and everything that they do is just, I love them.
Amazing. So how would someone go about becoming it? Do you have to have that celebrity client already? What are the steps that you took to get that?
So I reached out to Bellamy because I had a friend here, you know Gina,
Yeah.
and she helped me facilitate that conversation because I was already a brand ambassador for Unite.
Okay.
And so I do think that that helped me in a way because Bellamy wasn't the first company that I was putting on my Instagram bio as like
Mhm.
brand partnered with. So they saw that another company had already invested in me.
you.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, okay, well, we're not going to give it to him for free
Mhm.
because he doesn't have a big following. He's not doing somebody in LA and California and flying all over, but we'll
Right.
give him something. And so it did allow me to, because, I don't have a lot of money. I'm a
Mhm.
hairstylist.
Yeah.
So it did allow me to buy more
Mhm.
so that when I did need it, I had it.
I love that.
Yeah. That's smart.
Because I was just thinking, like, so you're obviously asking for these pieces back
Right.
after the event.
It depends on the person. Like, I hate social media so much, and you'll notice that I fluctuate. Like, I'll post a lot, and then I won't post for 2 weeks, and it's just because it's so
Mhm.
time consuming. And so just, I hate the minutia of it, not just the time, but like why you have to do it, what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about gatekeeping. Instagram fucking gatekeeps. They're
Yeah.
like, okay, we've changed the algorithm. We're not going to tell you what it is. But the moment that like a third of you figure it out, we're going to change it.
We're gonna
again.
change it again.
Yes.
And then you talk to influencers and you're like, okay, like how are you growing? How
Yeah.
are you building? Is it 5 hashtags? Am I supposed to post twice a day?
Is
Like,
it
what
30
is
hashtags?
it?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you just got to be consistent. And I'm like, girl,
Don't lie to me.
Yeah.
honey.
You are lying out your teeth right now.
I feel like some people, probably more people pay for their followers than maybe we realize sometimes.
I've hired like 3 different people at this point
Mm-hmm.
to like run my social media, and none of them have been. One of them was like just somebody that was really successful at herself.
Yeah.
The other 2 were like with a company, 2 different companies, and it was just
Not the
Not-
vibe.
no.
Not it, huh?
You got
Huh.
to do it yourself.
I hate social media. I don't think I'll ever have a good social media.
What were the other 2 questions?
Okay, so how would you charge for a look like that?
Okay.
And do you keep them on hand, and what was the investment? So you've already answered the last 2.
Okay.
So what do you charge?
My do and go is $300. And then my day rate is $1,100 to $1,500, depending on how long we're
Okay.
there. But I say all that to say, depending on the client, if that's not in their budget, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah.
And I have to be careful with that. And this is just me being completely, fully transparent. I have to be careful with that because I have a relationship with my clients where if we're on set and there is a production team that's paying for everyone to be there, then that's what my rate will be.
Mm-hmm.
And they will stand up for me. If production's like, we're not paying them that, they'll stand up for me because when it's coming out of their own pocket and they don't want to do their own glam because they're going to be on TV, they're going to be, doing interviews, then I will discount my rate to something that is more affordable for them personally.
Gotcha.
I love that.
That makes sense.
And what is
And I feel like
considered?
everybody does that, by the way. Nobody
Mhm.
fucking says it.
No one does.
Nobody
No.
says it. And I'm totally fine with saying.
We talked like a while ago about emotional pricing.
Mm-hmm.
With
Yeah, with Nina.
Tulio. And she is a huge advocate of like no emotional pricing. But even she said like there's going to be times when it's like this is something that you want to do. You need to.
Yeah.
That is the emotional price.
Yeah. And the way that I look at it is it's a lot harder for a hairstylist. Like some of my friends, they just style.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to come in and discount my rate when we're both charging the same thing and they may be charging more than me, it's hard for them to see that because it makes people not want to go to them because they're only charging that rate because that's what pays the bills.
Mm-hmm.
And
Got
so I
it.
totally understand the
Yeah.
frustration. I totally understand them getting mad at me when I do that. But for me, what pays my bills is me being behind the chair.
Mm-hmm.
And so doing all of these high profile clients, it allows me to elevate my prices behind the chair.
Yep.
People want to come see me
Yep.
because I do their hair
Mm-hmm.
or their color or whatever it is that they want to come see me for. And then I build relationships with them as well.
Yeah.
And then all of my celebrity clients on the back end, they always take care of me
Mm-hmm.
when, like I said, when there's like a production team or a film crew that's actually putting something on, they're going to make sure that I get what I'm supposed to be paid.
Yeah.
So
That makes a lot of sense because you're like you said, it's not what pays the bills for you. So you can go in at a discounted rate, but you're building relationships, which are just going to, give you a little bit more exposure and get you.
it's with the film crew too.
Yeah.
It's with
Mhm.
wardrobe. It's with lighting.
Mm,
It's with everybody. You have those relationships because, you're all there for the same purpose.
Mm-hmm. Well, I took a class from Camille Friend, and she was talking about So there are some celebrities that she calls it the juice. They have the juice to get their exclusive artist. Like
Yeah.
they're not going to use the one that's provided by production. You're going to pay for their exclusive artist.
Right.
It sounds like that's what you're working for. You're working for those relationships because you want that as a client. You don't want it just to say you're doing it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people that I work with, if they were offered production glam, they would say no. Because, when you're getting your makeup done, you can normally do it better than most people. Because you do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you've got 2 or 3 people that know your face, know what you like,
know how to do
know
your
what
makeup,
works,
then
it's a similar.
Yeah. And it's similar with hair.
Do you ever like sit and think, I can't believe I'm doing this? Like, be back like a little boy going to beauty school, and like now you're like, holy crap.
Yeah,
I'm
sometimes. I think I do it because I don't get starstruck.
Here.
And I think that's another thing that has really aided me in doing hair. Because when I come in, if it's a first time meeting you, I'll sit down, I set my station up, and we talk like I would talk to a client.
Normal client,
Yeah. Like, what'd you do last night? How long are you here for? Do you need any restaurant recommendations? It's nothing like about their life or how they got where they are, or can you tag me in a post, or that comes later when you've built that relationship. So I never get starstruck, but there have been moments where I'm like, I think one of my biggest ones was like I grew up in country music. Or not in country music, but listening to country music. And I was doing a band's hair called Temecula Road, which they've since split up. But one of the girls was dating Sarah Evans' son.
Okay.
And Sarah was looking for a new hairstylist, and she was like, who does your hair? So that's how I got Sarah, and I started doing her hair. And she's so normal. She's so down to earth. She's so just like a good mom.
Yeah.
Like somebody that you want to hang out with. And the first couple of times I did her hair, I was just like,
I can't believe this.
Do you know who you are?
Right.
And, her whole family's so kind. They're just great people. But being able to work with her for these couple years now. And she finally got inducted into the Grand Ole Opry. And I was shocked that she hadn't.
Yeah.
But with her being who she was. But I was so excited that I was able to be there and do the hair. And she got my parents' front row seats. And so they got to witness everything and then go to the after party and meet her.
Oh.
And for me, now that I've worked with her for so long, that's like a normal thing. And I know it's not normal. I know that that's like a big deal. And so it was honestly more heartwarming for me to let my parents experience that than it was for me to do it.
That's cool.
That gave me like goosies just then. Your parents getting to see that, like, I went to hair, like, we're from Arkansas, mom and dad, like, and look, you're front row at the Opry.
Right.
That is insane. That's so cool.
I know. Yeah. Okay, so here's what I want to know. You're a celebrity stylist. Like, we were talking about this earlier.
I hate that phrase.
Well, you're doing famous people's hair, that their hair gets seen by way more people than your average client, Is there a pressure knowing that, like, do you ever see people be like, that ponytail looks stupid? Or, like, is there any shit like that that goes on?
I am my biggest critic.
Yeah.
I'm such a perfectionist. But I'll actually, like, I have a folder on my iPad of all the looks that I've done, and I'll pick them apart. Or things that I think that are great, I'll, like, save for a year from now. And then I'll look back at it and be like, oh, I could have done that better. And it just makes me a better stylist because it makes me, and it also celebrates that I'm farther along in my career, that I can pick that out now.
Yeah.
The same with color, placement, cutting. But no, What was your question?
Well, just like your
Sorry,
work
squirrel.
is on the, a bigger stage, I guess. And so like does that ever give you more pressure? But I mean, if you're the one picking yourself apart, then
It doesn't give me more pressure. It gives me more pressure for it to look good on camera.
mhm.
But like if you're asking about what other people say about it,
Yeah.
I'm more protective, and I'm sure if you've done your deep dive, you've seen my comments on Instagram and TikTok. I'm more protective of my clients. A lot of the negative comments that I get are not about me. They're not
Mhm.
about their hair. It's
Mhm.
about who they are or their family.
Gotcha.
And for me, I have tried to be better about letting things go. Like, they obviously don't know them,
Mhm.
but I know them on a personal level.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about the Chrisleys, it's anybody that I
Mhm.
do hair for. I know them on a personal level and have seen things behind the scenes that they've gone through, and they're people. And, these people that are writing all these nasty negative comments that think that this is just what they signed up for because they're on TV, they go home and have to listen to all those comments and read all those
Mhm.
comments. And it just grinds my fucking gears. So I'm like, you know what? If you've got time in your single wide trailer to type this on a few keys that stick,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I've got, I've got, I've got a little time for you too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
So since we're on celebrity hair, you have you have a higher paying client, right? With the higher paying client comes a higher expectation.
Right.
And that might even mean a higher expectation of your time.
Right.
So how do you set a boundary with those people that sometimes don't have a boundary?
I am terrible at answering this question because I don't. I'm trying to get better about that. Um, but full transparency, like and this is with clients too, not just high profile clients, but like when they need in, like I'm like, well, I did take off that last week, or the last time they came in, I was sick. So you make these
Mhm.
excuses, especially when you're doing high profile clients,
Yeah.
because they're on their own time schedule. And we all know that, or we're afraid that if you say no, that may be the last time
Yeah.
that you do their hair. And so there's this like balance of, I need a mental health day. I am exhausted.
My people pleasing could never.
Yeah. And, what if this was the last time?
Seriously, yeah.
So, I'm terrible at answering that, just being fully transparent because I'm trying to get better about that. I actually just did that this week. Um, but I have this thing with my clients personally that they know that I do high profile hair. They know
Mhm.
that set work is generally the week of.
Yeah.
I'll get a call on Sunday. Can you come in on Thursday and do so and so? And then I have to reschedule my Thursday. And nobody is ever upset about it, but it's because I come in on my days off to get them in so that they're still on their same schedule. Everything flows. So they give me a little and I give them a little.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard for me to like put my foot down and be like, nope, that's my day off.
That makes a lot of sense though. So would you say that attributes to your success though, because like you said, your income comes from behind the chair. So if
Right.
you have to reschedule and you're only working these 3 days in the
Right.
week, sorry, I can't get you in for 6 months. Those people are going to go find somebody
Of
else.
course, I
Mhm.
would.
Yeah.
If
So
they couldn't get me in 2 weeks, I would.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because in their mind, they're like, well, I love that for you, but I've scheduled this appointment and I've scheduled 3 more in advance because that's
Mhm.
what your structure is. That's what you want me to do. And now, 4 days before, I've had this on my calendar at work. I have kids
Mhm.
and I'm driving 30 minutes to come see you. So I get both sides.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like all of your like 100% of your clients are totally down to reschedule when you have to do something like that?
I've lost clients for sure. And I totally understand that. And generally, I mean, it's very few and far between, but I'll recommend them to somebody else that I feel like will do just as good or better of a job.
Mhm.
That may be closer to them or more their vibe, or Um, I haven't lost any clients, I don't think, in the last like 3 or 4 years that was like a tumultuous situation.
I feel like it's kind of part of, stylists talking about building their dream clientele.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that
Well,
losing
that's-
people were the growing pains for you to
Mhm.
get to the dream clientele.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at too. Is like, well, maybe all the people that were irritated by it have
Right.
moved on to different people, and
that's
so
not gonna
now,
change.
yeah, the pool that you've got, they know and they're down with it, and they
Right.
don't care because they want you to do their hair.
Right.
So, if there was advice you could give someone to do, let's say maybe 3 things that could elevate their client experience behind the chair, what would you say those 3 things are?
Great question. One of the first things that I did when I was at Avant Garde in Florida, which was my Florida salon,
Mm-hmm.
one of the senior stylists actually told me this. It might have been the owner, but to make notes with every client that you get,
Mm-hmm.
make 3 notes. Maybe their kid's about to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
They're going through a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're about to, whatever it is, they're about to get a new job, or they've
How
thought
they
about
take their coffee.
applying. Yeah, they've thought about applying for a new job, because the moment that they come in, they know or think that you've seen hundreds of people since you've seen them,
Mm-hmm.
and they sit down, and instead of saying like, okay, so what are we gonna do today? You say, so like, how is everything going with the move? Or did you get the job? They're like, how the fuck did you remember that?
Yeah,
And then you've got them,
that's good.
because everybody wants to be heard. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to be seen and felt. And
Because that's exactly what I'd say when they sit down. Hey, girl, what are we doing today?
it's one thing. And you change that note every
Yeah.
time. So
That's
it may
a really
be the
good
same
advice.
2 things, but then the third thing has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do that. And gosh, what else? Talking in front of them and not behind them, which I'm also bad at.
Mm-hmm.
I go straight to behind the chair. And so I've tried to change that. And keeping things fresh, I feel like, even if you're doing the exact same thing, like, change the placement, or tell them that you're changing the placement, or shift them gears a little bit on like a little bit more root or a little bit more low light, because you do have that crowd that always wants the same thing. But most people, isn't there like a shelf life for a client for a stylist?
Yeah, they say that the number one reason a client leaves a stylist is because they want change.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you're not offering it, they'll
Yeah.
just go to someone that will.
So change it. My old boss at Parlor was very good at, she always changed the aesthetic of the salon.
Mm-hmm.
And that really kept people wanting to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily the stylist changed, but the aesthetic always changed. She was always adding things, or doing things, or offering not discounts, but it would be like a retail thing, or there was always something for salon or stylist to promote.
Yeah.
For the client to come in and be like, oh,
Always the new,
Yeah.
latest and greatest.
she was really great at that.
I love that.
So you could do that. You could change aesthetic.
Mhm.
You could make notes. You could make notes about like how they take, like he said, how they take their coffee.
Yeah.
I have a salon suite. I don't have a salon. So I have like a drink station
Okay.
where I've got like a fancy coffee maker, an espresso machine, and snacks, and a mini fridge with an assorted amount of beverages.
Mm-hmm.
And I make little notes. Like, if something's not going, I will literally take it out of the tray and throw it away, or put it in the break room and fill it with things that go.
Yeah.
Because if the snack tray's always empty, that's not a bad thing.
No.
Right.
That
That's
means
good.
they're enjoying what they're getting.
Yeah.
And same for the drinks. So I think those 3 things don't cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a suite, if you're at your station at a commission-based salon, if you're a booth renter, because you can offer those. A commission stylist or a commission owner is not going to tell you no.
Yeah.
And if they do, you're in the wrong salon. So you can have things at your station that maybe, aren't offered to everybody else, which is only going to make everybody's clients want to come to you.
Right. I want to go sit there. They get snacks.
I've heard clients across like the way saying stuff about like, well, you've never given me a hand massage while I'm giving a hand massage and CJ shampooing, or vice versa. Or like, I've heard people say like, ooh, I would like a steam treatment, or I would like that, or I would like this. And it just makes me think, okay, I need to keep doing these things, even though my clients aren't saying that they love it. They're used to it. And other people want this.
Right.
So I like all of those little tricks, and it helps CJ in the corner as she's trying to grow her clientele. So how much would you say the places that you've positioned yourself over the years has attributed to your success with the clientele that you've built? And how much of that would you say is what you've done on the back end to attract your clientele?
I mean, you always want to be where the people are. So me going to, Spoken Wheel is an amazing salon. They're all over the country. The owners run Fashion Week for Aveda. I mean, they're a big deal. And so that was definitely a leg up in like the Aveda world. But I don't think that their business model here necessarily was helpful for me, because I already had a clientele. It was not a full clientele, but they want me to departmentalize. I didn't want to do that. So really probably my elevation came when I moved to Parlor. But ironically, the clientele that I got was not from Parlor. It was from other people. Like Temecula Road was my first band that I did. And I had done the owner's daughter's hair for a photo shoot at the Greenhouse Mall. And the girls in the band lived down the street from her and asked her who did her hair. So nothing was like given to me. And then through them, their manager was Jesse's manager. So I got Jesse through doing that band for 6 or 7 months. And then one of the girls started dating Sarah's son. And I got Sarah through that. And the makeup artist that I worked with Temecula, I got the Chrisleys through. So none of it was really, it was just like having good relationships.
And good connections.
It's the way that you built the connection that you had, it was all word of mouth.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Good for you.
Thanks, girl.
Let's see. Okay, what advice do you have for somebody who wants to do what you do?
That's hard.
I mean, I feel like you've already given
I was gonna say,
advice, but the question's on there, so
that's hard because I know the answer is gonna seem cliche.
Yeah.
You really honestly have to get with someone that is like-minded and doesn't gatekeep. That's the biggest thing. Is like, I still, as a stylist, when I go on to sets, am afraid if I see another hairstylist to ask them like what's in their kit.
Gotcha.
Because they're not gonna fucking tell me.
Yeah.
And me, I'm like, here, it's
you post it.
Yeah. So you just don't get a lot of that. Or they intentionally will give you like A, B, and D and skip C just so that you're not.
So you're confused.
Yeah. And I hate that. So you've got to get with somebody that's like-minded.
Yeah.
Take your time. Because I kind of got like thrown into it.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, but it was just like I had to hit the ground running with the tools that I had in my toolkit at
the moment
and figure it out. And nobody told me like how to look at the screen versus what you're seeing in person. And because that's what everybody's going to see. They're not going to see this. They're going to see that. And all these little tips and tricks, or the producer or somebody on set is going to be like, hey, can you do this? Can you do this? How to step into, and everybody's different. Every producer's different, but some people will just let you walk in and they'll stop filming. And others, you have to like ask them to walk in. So there's a lot of like little things behind the scenes that I had to learn all on my own, and nobody helped me. And sometimes people that could have helped me didn't.
Didn't help you. Dang.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So as a colorist, what are things that you change when you know that that hair color is about to be on a camera versus your guests that are lawyers,
Right.
doctors?
Great question. So what I normally do, if it depends on the client, like take Savannah for example. A lot of times we'll do minis and partials and half heads, and I just move the color around where she needs it, so everything seems perfect at all times, but it also gives her hair a break, so that it doesn't break.
Because she blonde, honey.
But if I know that she is going to be like on special forces, I did a what I would consider like a transformation foil. It was like a full. Because I didn't know she was gonna have her hair short.
How's her hair gonna
So
be
is it gonna
going?
be half
Yeah.
up, half down? Is it gonna be all the way up? Is she gonna have this bottom part right here that she can't fit a ponytail down? Like, I didn't know where the camera was gonna be, and they have no glam.
Yeah.
Like, she got to bring a toothbrush and toothpaste. They had to brush their hair with a fork.
A dingle hopper.
Yes,
Jingle hopper.
literally.
Oh my God.
So I knew that like it needed to be perfect because it was gonna be
Yeah.
wet. It was gonna be up. She was gonna be sweating. There was no time for like a blowout and waves
Yeah.
and for it to look good.
It
So
had to live in
look good.
everyday life with
Yeah.
no
So
preparation.
I think that's like situational.
Yeah.
Especially like, are you talking about somebody like that or somebody like Sarah? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess I just thought, sometimes you get your hair color on a camera and it looks completely different.
It's a different
It
color.
does.
Yeah.
It really
so
does.
I was wondering if there were specific things that like, okay, if I use too much ash, it picks up
Right.
way too dark. Or if I'm adding too much gold, it looks brassy.
Mm.
And something like Savannah, she's very neutral,
yes,
toned
in person,
blonde.
but on camera,
It
she's
reads-
white.
Yes.
And everybody thinks that she's like a sheet of paper in person.
Yeah.
But she's not. She's like this beigey, creamy blonde that has like a hint of gold. It's like Barbie blonde
Got it.
in person, but on camera, it looks like the color of that blanket.
Dang.
So
It
if
really
I
does.
made her gray or made her ashy or, use purple shampoo on her on film, it would look darker. So I actually don't tone her.
That's raw, huh?
I highlight and low light. I low light her with a 9M in Redken shades.
9 mocha.
Mm-hmm.
You heard it here, folks. If your clients come in with pictures of Savannah,
Right? Yeah.
Blonde me.
I never even
40
thought to ask for
volume.
her
No, I'm
color
kidding, I'm kidding.
formula.
Right?
Shit, give it to us. Yeah.
Blonde me, 40 volume. No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
With
Mr. Not
salon,
Gatekeepy. No.
salon care 50 volume.
And
Blonde
wash it with
me.
Shimmer Lights purple
Right.
shampoo.
Start at the roots for you.
Start at
folks.
the roots.
Yeah. No, I do Blonde Me 7 volume and then 9M from shades.
Okay.
And sometimes we'll do every other. Sometimes we'll do in between every foil.
Mm-hmm.
Do the low light. It just depends on like, does she want to be a little bit
What it
more lived
needs.
in? Does
Yeah.
she want? And I don't tone her. Sometimes when I get her back to the bowl, I will purple shampoo her hair, but not the extensions.
Mm.
Because the
And
extensions
I will
would
purple
be white.
shampoo her ends, not her roots where we just bleach, because these are perfect.
Gotcha.
But sometimes these,
It gets a little
yeah.
yellowy over
And
time.
sometimes we'll do like a Malibu treatment or something like that. But I never pull bleach through. I never balayage her ends.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
I don't.
Let's see. I don't think we have anything else on here.
Yes,
Oh.
I do. Who is a dream celebrity client we can manifest for you?
Oh gosh, I love Blake Lively. I love her vibe.
Oh,
I love her vibe. Love her hair.
I do too.
I just love like the lived in,
Yeah.
the like effortless. Um, gosh, it would either be her or Lady Gaga,
Oh,
and
psh.
just because of like who she is and what she
Yeah, yeah,
stands
yeah.
for and her platform
Yes.
and what she's done for like my community
Mhm.
personally, our community.
Mm-hmm.
She has, basically like tied herself to a railroad track
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
And doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
So those would probably be my two.
We're gonna
Those
manifest
are two
it for
good
you.
ones. Yeah.
Or Julia Roberts.
Well,
Ooh.
I mean, she's
Got
Mine
great
is
hair,
Jennifer
too.
Aniston.
Uh,
Jennifer
Beautiful.
Aniston, Kate
Yeah.
Hudson. Those two.
love it.
What are yours?
yeah.
I
If
don't
you could
really-
have a dream celebrity client.
I think once upon a time I had dream celebrity clients, but I don't know. I don't even know.
She's like, who are celebrities? I
Who
don't.
are celebrities?
What is a television?
I mean,
She's a hippie child.
I don't want to say because I feel like it would just be
What if it
like,
happens?
Yeah. What about like Florence?
Florence, who's Florence?
I'm
Florence and
telling
Rasheen?
you, she's a boomer.
I'm
We
not
have-
a fucking boomer.
We have to
I am the
educate her.
elder millennial.
I could totally see you doing Florence's hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. I'll give you an answer next week.
There you go.
It's my homework.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Well, that's all we have for you guys today. Tyler, if they want to find you on social media, how can they find you?
My Instagram and TikTok is behind Tyler's chair.
Oh, cute.
That's actually how I stumbled upon your page. Is I was looking up behind the chair,
Mm-hmm.
and you popped up, and there was a blue check, and I was like, "Who's this?" And that's how I found you. If you want to find us on social media, I'm at Herrick's Hunter on all the things.
And I'm Ericka the Redhead on all the things.
And our podcast is at Breakroom Banter Pod on all the things. If you want additional ways to support us, you can follow our Patreon at www.patreon.com/Breakroom Banter Pod. And until next time,
you
remember,
always have a seat at our table.
That's right.
Bye.